Sandland is a stylish action RPG that follows a manga and an anime of the same name, and it couldn't have been released at a better time. On the 1st of March, the passing of Akira Toriyama shook the world, and while Dragon Ball is what he is most known for, he also created the Sandland series, and it's clear to see from the art style. It has an undeniably gorgeous style, an intriguing world, and a kinda unique vehicular take on a very typical open world action RPG. Now, as embarrassing as it is, I injured my wrist gaming too hard, so I physically couldn't beat the game. I put roughly 12 hours into it, and I'm about 60% through, and honestly, if it weren't for me reviewing the game, I would have put it down a long time ago. So let's talk about it. Sandland is exactly what you would expect. A land filled with sand, so naturally water is a precious resource. The king has cut off the water supply to all the local towns and villages and is now bottling it and selling it at a ridiculously high price. And that's the backdrop for the story. The demon prince Beelzebub and his advisor, or more accurately his babysitter, Thief, and the sheriff of a local town set out to find the king's hidden water source so they can not be charged out their backside for simply wanting to live. I watched the anime to prepare for this game, so I already knew the characters and practically the whole plot, and I love the main party here. They have heartwarming moments, and if I'm being honest, I love a good bromance. Even the comedy is on point, if a bit cheesy, where Beelzebub and Thief would have back and forths that got a chuckle out of me about Thief's age. But, and this is a big but, from the 60% of the story I have done, the pacing is absolutely dreadful. I guess it's just a problem with turning a 250 minute or so anime into a 20 plus hour long game. The moments that were ripped straight from the anime hit hard, whether it be a touching moment or a cool set piece or just something funny. I enjoyed watching the cutscenes and listening to the dialogue, but in between these parts were just filler conversations between NPCs that I didn't care about, or listen to Beelzebub say the same lines while exploring the open world. Games as a medium are a great way to flesh out worlds and narratives if done right. And I don't want to compare this game to God of War 2018 or even a game on that pedestal, but games like that fill the exploration with all of this backstory and fun conversations between the characters. But here in Sandland, there was a missed opportunity to have conversations between characters when exploring. It does happen the odd time where they flesh out the lore of the world while driving around. But for the most part, while you are exploring, it's just Beelzebub saying the same 3 phrases all the time. And I felt like there was loads of dead air where they could have filled this with something a bit more meaningful and made the journey more impactful.
What about ramming through with a boost? That might break it.
Something would break, all right. A car.
Sandland is a mostly vehicular game, and you will be driving, shooting and jumping around most of the time in a vehicle. And one thing I loved is that each vehicle has a different use. I have unlocked a tank, a car, a 2-legged jump bot and a motorbike. And they're all good for different situations. If you see an encampment of enemies, you can take out the tank and deal with them from a distance. And if you need to do some platforming, maybe change to the jump bot. And then if you want speed, use the motorbike. And the thing is, the traversal is probably the best part of the game, especially in the ruins where you have to use a combination of vehicles to get around. But apart from that, the rest of the core gameplay loop is extremely repetitive. Vehicles have different weapons which gave them a small bit of variation in combat. So a bike has a shotgun that's good at close quarters combat, and then the tank has ranged weapons, the jump bot has a machine gun and also like a lob grenade. So in that sense, they have a small bit of variation when you are fighting the enemies, but at the end of the day, you will fight the same bandits, scorpions, dinosaurs, and a few other enemy types with little to no difference in how you will kill them, and it gets stale fast. Regardless of what enemy I was fighting, it was almost always best to use the tank because it dealt the most damage, and even though it was the slowest, I could dodge every attack with ease. The basic enemies usually took a couple of hits to kill, and then the larger bosses and mini-boss enemies are an exercise in kiting them in a circle, shooting, reloading, and then doing it all over again. Don't get me wrong, the combat is fine. There's a good feel behind the vehicles and the weapons, but that can only take a game so far. And even behind all this, there's a rather robust upgrade system where you craft vehicles and parts using the resources dropped by enemies or found in chests. But you don't even need to engage with it to survive. Even the harder and higher level enemies didn't pose too much of a threat. And honestly, at the start of the game, I got pretty excited when I saw how you can tweak your vehicles, but eventually, I realised that the game didn't push me to engage with it, and even though I did upgrade them, nothing materially changed. I was just doing the same repetitive loop, and that brings me to the open world section. I think you can guess what you're doing here. You're finding caves that have resource nodes, opening chests that have upgrade materials, repairing radio towers, doing some races, and killing some hard enemy bounties. And I don't mind typical open world objectives and side quests, I really don't. But I need the systems behind them to be compelling. If it's fun to shoot things, or upgrade your weapons, or level up skills, then I welcome a playground to let me do it, but that isn't the case in Sandland. I started off doing the typical thing that I do in open worlds, where I do every side quest, I explore every cave I see, I try to kill all the enemies. But then as the game went on, when I realised you don't really have to engage in the crafting, and the combat isn't particularly hard or engaging, then I just fell off the open world objectives and just decided to mainline the story. Honestly, I would recommend you just watch the anime if you're interested in Sandland. You'll get the beautiful art, endearing characters and a good plot in about 250 minutes. Whereas here you have to spend 20 plus hours to get the same story, and unfortunately the gameplay isn't compelling enough to warrant those extra hours spent. But at the end of the day, I found Sandland extremely samey, which is a shame because I love the world, the characters, and the art style is gorgeous. Now I haven't beaten it, so this isn't a review, but right now I don't recommend it after what I played. Thanks for watching. Are you interested in picking up Sandland, and have you watched the anime or read the manga? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.